It's him, Haritha. I am sure of it. I spoke to some of the clansmen and they said his name was Zaid. He looks just like you. I spoke to some of the other travelers and had them speak to him. He said he lives with a very noble family. Apparently, he is owned by the grandson of Abdul Muttalib, a very honorable man, very generous and kind.
Muhammad?
Yes, that's the one.
My son, after all this time, he's been in Mecca?
Muhammad is an honorable man. If we pay for him, we can set your son free, Haritha.
Haritha closed his eyes. So many years had passed since his son was kidnapped. All he had to do was go to Mecca.
We ride tomorrow morning. One way or another, I am getting my son back.
Noontime was a peaceful time in Mecca. Muhammad had his back to the Kaaba. He had his eyes closed and was enjoying the warmth of the sun. Two men in traveling cloaks approached him. Muhammad opened his eyes.
Greetings, honest one. My name is Haritha. This is my brother.
Muhammad greeted them warmly and invited them to speak.
Muhammad, you are from the Banu Hashim clan, the people of the sanctuary. You are known for your generosity, your care of orphans, and taking upon yourself the needs of others. My son, Zaid, was kidnapped years ago and taken as a slave. And I am willing to give you what you want for him. Ask your price, and I will pay for his freedom. Honor us with your generosity.
Muhammad smiled. I have no need for your ransom. Why do we not let Zaid decide his fate? If he wishes to return with his family, then I will release him with no ransom or price in exchange. The two men were positively ecstatic.
You have been most generous and kind. You have done more than we could have possibly asked.
Zaid was called for. He arrived at the Kaaba not long after. As he walked inside the courtyard, he had eyes only for Muhammad. Haritha watched his son with his mouth open. His brother coughed loudly, hoping to break Zaid's gaze away. Muhammad put a hand on Zaid's shoulder. Do you recognize these two? He said. Zaid looked at his father and uncle. His eyes widened with comprehension.
Yes, I do. This is my father and my uncle.
The two men beamed at him. Haritha made a motion as if about to hug, but ended up scratching his beard instead. Muhammad continued. They have come to take you back to your family. Haritha was surprised at the look of shock on Zaid's face as he spun around to look at Muhammad.
What did you tell them?
I have left the matter to you, Zaid, Muhammad said.
Oh, in that case, I would never choose anyone else over you.
Haritha and his brother looked as though cold water had been splashed over them.
Oh, my son, do you not understand what this man is offering you?
No, I understand perfectly.
Haritha blinked several times very quickly.
Oh, my son, are you choosing slavery over freedom? A stranger over your own family?
I am.
But why?
I have seen something in this man that I have never seen in anyone else. And I am not the kind of person who would ever choose anyone in preference over him.
Muhammad smiled widely at Zaid. It was a beautiful sight to see. Haritha, on the other hand, looked devastated.
But how can... My son is not a slave. If you love your master, that's all well and good, but you are a free man, not a slave. I want you to be part of a tribe, to have inheritance, to have nobility.
Muhammad nodded in understanding. He took Zaid's hand and led him to the Hijr of the Kaaba, where all public announcements were made. They stood on the stone step. O people of Mecca, Muhammad shouted. A small crowd of people gathered around with interest. Haritha looked up in curiosity. I call everyone to testify that henceforth Zaid is from me and I am from Zaid. Zaid is my son. He shall inherit from me and I shall inherit from him. From this moment on, Zaid is free. Zaid was overcome with joy. He turned to Muhammad. his new father, and embraced him. Zayd's blood father and uncle were smiling in spite of themselves. Haritha had his hand over his forehead in disbelief. Zayd descended from the hijr. Haritha stood face to face with Zayd.
You're free. You're from the Quraysh now. You are from the most noble tribe, the most noble clan.
He looked at Muhammad as well.
And from the best family. My son is now the son of Muhammad, from the Banu Hashim clan.
He looked very seriously at Zayd.
You are happy with this man?
Very.
As long as you are happy, then I am.
On that day, Zayd ibn Haritha became Zayd ibn Muhammad. A slave became a son. Zayd's childhood had been one of acceptance, gentleness, and love, because Muhammad was his father. He always had been. The day he was adopted was merely the day the undeniable was declared.